Your car is keeping you broke. Welcome back to Book 5, the channel that helps you live a more holistic life. This is your man Jay, and today we are going to talk about how your car buying habits is keeping you broke. Mainly, it's keeping you broke because you don't understand the cost. You don't understand the cost associated with buying your car. You might go on the lot and let's just say the car is, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000. You look at that price stick and you say, wow, that car is $30,000. And you say to yourself, well, I think I can afford the $30,000. Well, maybe you can, maybe you can't. So let's take a look at that and just kind of see some of the things to understand your cost. Number one is, how much money do you make a year? And I have um, some information here where it breaks down the average income by gender, race, and all of these things. But as we can see right here, it says in the United States, the average woman earns a median income of $42,238, while her male counterpart earns $52,004. That's the middle income. Some of us make more, some of us make less, but we're just going to like kind of stick to these numbers here. Okay, that's going to be your first launch pad because this car that you're going to buy is going to be another expense. So you have to take in consideration all of your other expenses. Ideally, what you want is you want to take about 50% of your annual income, and that goes into your needs, your housing needs, your food, all of your needs. Okay, and then 30% is your discretionary money. You know, the things that you may want to spend your money on, and then 20% should be going into some type of savings or investment. Okay, so that's the framework that we're working off. The 50-30-20 rule. 52 your necessities, 30 as your discretionary, and 20% as your investment slash savings. Okay, so that's what we're going off. Now, what part of the 50-30-20 do you think that the initial car buying is going to come from? It's going to come from that 30%, or your 20% for your savings, and I would not advise that. But it's going to come from either that 30% of your discretionary or your 20% of your savings. That's where that is going to come from. And once it comes from that, it's going to affect those numbers, right? It's going to bring those numbers down, and then it's going to add to your 50%, which is your necessity cost. And just so we're dealing with nice round numbers, we're going to take that median income, that 42,000 for women and 52,000 for men, and we're just going to say $50,000 across the board. Okay, again, some of us may be more, some of us may be less, but we're going to take that $50,000. So that's the launch pad that you want to start off. Now, how much car can I afford making $50,000 a year? Can I afford a $30,000 car? Can I afford a $40,000 car? Probably not. Even if you go half of that, can I afford a $20,000 or $25,000 car? And the answer is probably no. That's going to set you up for long-term failure. Okay. Now let's take a look at some of the average interest rates on vehicles. A lot of times you're going to finance the vehicle, lease the vehicle, whatever. Okay, so we're going to take that. We're not going to run with the you're paying for it out, upfront in cash, because most people are not paying for their vehicles upfront with cash, which is, in my opinion, if you're going to purchase the vehicle, that's probably the best way to do it. Okay, now you're going to get an interest rate attached to whatever finance option you go with. The bank is going to loan you the money, and the bank is going to attach a interest rate to that. So that interest rate is dependent upon your credit score. Okay, and the lower your credit score, the higher that interest rate is going to be. The higher your credit score, the lower that interest rate is going to be. Okay, so with this example, we're just going to go with a prime 661 to 780 credit score. That's what we're going to go with, okay, just for this example, okay? And we're going to go to the average used car 5.47%, because quite honestly, man, if you're making $50,000 or less, um, getting into a new car situation may not be the best thing. But just to keep these numbers kind of rocking on the same thing, we're gonna go with the 5.47%. Okay, this is the interest rate on the loan for that particular vehicle. Okay, now when you're doing this, right, you don't want to focus on your monthly payment, because that's what the car dealers want you to do. They want you to focus on what's my monthly payment for this car, right? And then they have room to maneuver. They're gonna ask you, oh, how much you gonna put down, and what would you like to pay a month? And that stuff just confuses you to get away from what they call OTD, and that's out of the door cost on your vehicle. That's the number you really want to dial into, right? What is the out of the door cost for this vehicle? And once you understand that number, what am I paying for on the interest of this loan? I wrote some notes here for you. Okay, not the best at writing notes. So in these notes, we are working with a $50,000 a year income, and out of that money, we're going to do 15% out of the door cost. That's going to give us $7,500. We're going to add on a 5% operating cost of $2,500. Operating costs are going to be things like your car insurance, gas, maintenance, registration, anything that you need to keep that car on the road. That's going to give us a total car liability of $10,000. On that $10,000, they're going to charge us an interest rate based off the example that we used earlier of 5.47% interest. That's going to be $410 a year interest. We're going to break this down into 36 monthly payments. That is 3 years. Reason being, we chose the 3 years because you really want a shorter term as possible, the shortest term as possible. The longer your loan term is, the more interest that you'll be paying over the course of the loan, and of course, the bank wins. Now, we are financing this car. We're not taking in consideration any leasing or anything like that. This is just straight financing mathematics. So, over the 36 months or 3 years, you can afford $289 of car payment based off of a $50,000 a year income. Now, you might say, well, I can pay more. Notice we didn't say pay, we said afford. So, a lot of us, we might be in a car that a person who is making $80,000, $100,000, and sometimes even $150,000 and up, somebody who's making that type of money, we're driving cars that they can afford, and it's really outpacing your budget. The first thing you got to realize is with that interest rate, over the course of that 3 years, you're paying roughly $1,200 more based on this example that we have here than the total cost of the car. So really, you're paying roughly $12,000 for a car that was only $10,000. And remember, you bought the car 3 years ago, so the car has depreciated in value. So you're paying more for a car that has been depreciating in value ever since you bought it. So this is how these dealerships, this is how they win, and they put you in a when they put you in a box. So the main thing to remember is when you going into these dealerships, have your budget, a hard budget, and really stick to it. Stick to your budget. Say, this is what I make a year. This is what my out of the door cost needs to be. This is what I can afford in this period of time, or monthly payments. This is what I can afford to comfortably pay. Because if I pay any more than what's outside of this budget, it's going to take away from that piece of the pie, that 30% of the pie for our wants, or that other 20% of the pie where we're taking care of our savings and other debts. And then you start compromising your lifestyle. You start getting caught up in, you know, neglecting certain things, just trying to keep your head above water on these cars that you can't really afford. And okay, I want to ride foreign, I want to ride this, I want to ride that. That's fine. But understand, when you do that, your operating cost is going to go up. If you have a 7 Series BMW or S Class Benz, or, I see a lot of people riding around in the Maseratis now. When you have those particular cars, you can't just get a regular oil change on those cars. You can't just go get, normal tires for those cars. And when I say normal, I mean normally priced, right? Those oil changes start to get expensive. Those car tires start to get expensive. The need for your mechanic to have to order parts becomes a cost for him, and then of course they're going to pass that cost off to the customer. And we're not even discussing, you know the factor of the repos, what it is doing to your credit, and all of that, and all of those things, just by going over what you can comfortably afford in a car. So stop going to these dealerships, getting bamboozled by car dealers, falling in love with these cars that you can't afford, and just try to make better buying decisions, because what it's going to do is going to help you out in the long run. And if you're not in a position to buy a new car, or you're not in a position to get the car that you want, then maybe you may want to take some time, get your money together, save a little more money, get your credit, work on your credit, that kind of thing, increase your income, and then come back and revisit the car buying process, because it is definitely helping to keep you broke. And our scripture of the day was brought to us by Amos chapter 8 and 5. Amos chapter 8 and 5. That's all I have for you today on Book 5, the channel that helps you live a more holistic life. This is your man, Jay, and I'll catch you next time in the book club.